Dynamite!
It's Dynamite!
Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite!
So Dynamite!
This is awesome! This is this, this is that, this is this! Hey everybody, have a great time!
It's Dynamite!
I'm not one of these f***ing goof podcasters out there. Where's the music? Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite! I am Don Tony. Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite! A little bit out of breath. I am Don Tony. Never did this before, man. Literally 2 shows back to back. I literally only had a chance to go find myself some real beverage drinking for this episode. I want to thank everybody who just tuned in to yours truly, doing a recap of NXT TakeOver 30, and welcome to this episode, which will be strictly AEW Dynamite's recap from Saturday, August 22nd. Now, as I said earlier, I was able to watch both Dynamite and NXT on Saturday. For those curious, I watched Dynamite live, and as soon as Dynamite was over, I went on the WWE Network and watched NXT TakeOver 30. Thumbs up to all of you, everybody out there. Seriously, I appreciate it. Look, as I said in the first show that I did, and we're not done. We're not done. Who was the rapper used to do it? We're not done. I think that was, damn. Who was with the Boogie Down Productions? I can't remember his name right now. Oh, it's just escaping me. Come on, some of you know out there. Who was part of Boogie Down Productions? I know one of the rappers got killed many years ago. One of my favorite rappers, too, and I can't remember his name right now. You know what it is? I'm in the frame of mind like, okay, we just did NXT TakeOver. You know, when I do these shows, you know, it's not that I read. You know, of course I have notes that I have to fall back on, but, you know, I'm telling you everything. KRS-One. Thank you, Steven. Love KRS-One. In fact, if any of you out there has ever been a fan of KRS-One and rapping, go on YouTube and check out an interview that he did about, might have been this year or last year, and he talked about what's going on in the world. One of the most intelligent people that I ever see come out of hip hop, and I'm not saying that hip hop artists weren't were not intelligent, but man, this guy goes to colleges and he speaks, and you know, I wish he would do more of it, because I sat there and I watched everything he said and I was just in awe. So I know some people are like, are you kidding me? No, seriously, go check it out. Yeah, DJ Scott LaRock, I remember that. He was killed. DJ Scott LaRock. So, all right, but anyway, this is about AEW. This is not about KRS-One. KRS-One, one. I'm just thinking of his music right now. All right, as I said on the TakeOver recap, you know, I'm not normally here on Sundays during the day. Yes, Sunday nights for pay-per-views, and I will be back tonight once again for SummerSlam. I actually had 5 podcasts planned for today. And I also have to handle the pay-per-view predictions contest over on Patreon. So, and then I got to put all the shows up. I got to edit, splice, all this stuff. But, you know, when it's solo shows, it's 1,000 times easier because I don't have to run codecs. I don't have to fix my audio, clean it up, level things out, you know, change. It's easy. So I narrowed it down today from 5 to 3. So we're doing 3 podcasts today, 2 of them back to back. So last night I was going to watch AEW Dynamite first. My original plan was I'll watch Dynamite's first hour, then I'll go watch NXT TakeOver, then I'll go back and watch the second hour of Dynamite. And what happened was I tuned into TNT about 5:45, and the NBA playoffs are still on. Miami Heat, I think, were playing. And I'm looking at it. Now, I don't follow basketball as much as I used to. Once the Knicks, you know, from the 90s and the early 2000s started to break up, that was it for me. But I'm smart enough to know that when there's 8 or 9 minutes still left in the fourth quarter and you're 10-6, you know that AEW Dynamite is not starting on time. It kind of sucked that the announcers during the basketball game didn't tell the people tuning in, stay tuned, soon as the game is over, AEW Dynamite. They said it after the game finished, but we knew that there was going to be a delay. I don't remember exactly what time Dynamite started, but my guess would be somewhere around 20 after 6, maybe towards 6:30. So, and I watched it. So I decided I was going to watch Dynamite straight through and then tune into TakeOver. Did they say it's Steven at different time? I will tell you, for the last 20 to 30 minutes of the broadcast, I did not hear them say, for those expecting AEW Dynamite, stay tuned. It will be on following this broadcast. I could tell you honestly, for the 20, 30 minutes that I watched the basketball, they didn't do that. They might have said it earlier in the night during commercials, but right around the 6 o'clock hour, I really expected them to say, for those, tuning in for AEW Dynamite, stay tuned. It will air immediately following the game. Did not see or hear them do that. But, hey, who knows? I could have gone to the other room, went on social media, say everybody's talking shit about me, so who knows? And there goes the no vulgar episode out the window. I'm trying, everybody. I'm trying. I know some of you out there like, no, you got to curse. You got to curse. Yeah, once in a while, yes. But for me, I'm trying to really eliminate the vulgarity. Things are changing, getting opportunities to bring these shows to other networks, which has not been finalized yet. But I have to show a reliability and a trust factor. So, but anyway, let's talk about AEW Dynamite. I will tell you right off the bat, one thing that I loved, one thing that I liked, one thing that I did not like, because it was so glaring for yours truly. First of all, and I have the picture queued up, I had it on the preview. Unfortunately, didn't have time to make a banner for the show because, I was on location at the parents' house yesterday. I came back to my studio, if you want to call it that, about an hour before I went live for the NXT TakeOver recap. But, we were greeted to this, all right? I mean, I absolutely love the fact that Tully Blanchard is managing FTR. I know some people online, need storylines for every little fart that goes on pro wrestling. And I only tweeted twice during Dynamite's whole episode because I don't sit on Twitter, and you all know that. But I had to express how much I like the fact that Tully is managing FTR. I know a lot of you out there are like, well, no, they're like the brainbusters, so Tully and Arn have to be managed. Well, why don't you dig up Bobby Heenan as well? Because somebody's part of a tag team, you could have two people managing two people. I understand why people say that, but seriously, people that were complaining yesterday, I thought Arn was going to be managing. They turned fucking heel last week, dummies. They fucking piled. Oh, damn. It was when I said on the TakeOver that I came up with a finisher for a team or a wrestler, and I couldn't remember who it was. I do know it's for FTR. I can't remember what the name of the finisher was, but I'll come up with it later. It wasn't something like Mortal Kombat where it's finish him. It's a pretty cool name. When I bring it up, people would be like, yo, that's actually a really good name. I thought of it the other day, and I'm stupid. Like, over the years, I've seen people on TV, like when you wake up in the middle of the night, how many of you out there had this happen? You're sleeping, or you're half asleep, your mind's racing, you're thinking about ideas, or thinking about things to say, thinking about things, whatever it is, and then you start brainstorming, and the next day you can't remember what you thought about the night before. And I can't tell you how many times over the years people have said to me that if you think of something, keep a pen by your bed. It doesn't even matter if you do podcast or not, or keep a pen by your bed. when you think of something really, really good for whatever reason, it could be something you want to say to your significant other, something work related, an idea, a phrase or something, keep a pen by your bed, jot it down. And I swear on a stack of Bibles, I came up with a name for FTR's finisher the other day. And I was like, wow. I mean, I don't usually toot my own horn with stuff like that. But I was like, man, that's just like perfect. And I didn't write it down, and now I'm having a brain fart. So I'll remember. When I do, I'll let you all know. But I absolutely love Tully Blanchard as the manager for FTR. I don't know what this goes for Sean Spears in the future. I don't know if Sean Spears starts to be jealous of what's going on. I don't know if it should be a stable, so to speak, but, Tully Blanchard still is great on the mic. Tully Blanchard has been underutilized in wrestling for many, many years. And yes, he's a minister, and, it's his decision sometimes to be away from wrestling. But, when you always talk about demos, and I don't bring up demos, you know that. For me, for the most part, I stay away from demos. Me, I want as many people enjoying my stuff as possible. Yes, I pay attention to demos of who enjoys my shows, because that helps me focus on things that I should bring up or not bring up. True fact, I've been doing this show, the YouTube, for 7 months now. 23 years, never did video only, or video at all. Never did video, 23 years. Just, it was either quit or do something new. And the challenge was to do video. I wanted you to see my face. I wanted people to really see yours truly, because people have come to, an idea in their head. You look at a logo, a 15-year-old logo, or still shots of me online, that's not the same. People now know truly yours truly, not from the picture that they have drawn in their head based on what I've said over the years. So when I first started doing the show, I'm still not used to all of these statistics and stuff, the analytics with YouTube. I now am devoting a lot of time on that, since I don't have to devote my time on other stuff in the past anymore, which is a good thing. For the first month and a half that I was doing this stuff on YouTube, my number one demographic was 50 to 55. And I think the next older demographic, like 40 to 49, might have been third. But for the most part, above 50 was pretty much the biggest demographic I was having here. And although that's cool and everything, I'm like, man, what is it, about the shows that's not, attracting younger people? And I started asking people privately that I do commingle. I mingle on social media. I just, keep it private, and I usually, I don't, bring everybody aboard. But I asked a bunch of people. I'm like, well, you use too many outdated references here, and you don't talk about this enough, and you don't do this, and you just gotta be bright. Like brighten the room. Seriously. I always talked about social media, that you see someone on social media and 90% of their tweets are negative. So once I started brightening up the room, adding a little bit of the backdrop, talking about, every promotion, and, and just relating a little bit more and just being myself, now the number one demographic that enjoys these shows is 25 to, I think, 34. And then it follows, like, it's almost in order. 25 to 34, I think 25 to 34, and then 35 to like 45, and then but that's how it goes. Before it was like this, now it's like this. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is, you got to pay attention to obviously who is enjoying your show more than others, but you also got to do things to attract other demographics. Now, I don't want to get, the young demographic simply because I'm going to, breathe in canned air. I don't want to, I am goofy on the shows, but I'm not going to make myself look like a total jackass just so 20-year-olds could go, no, I mean, I'll do other things. other goofy things. But the thing is that Tully Blanchard managing FTR, I don't need notes for this. You know, and it was interesting because in the NXT takeover, we were talking about characters and, you know, how Timothy Thatcher, you know, may need a little bit of a character change to, you know, get to click with the WWE universe. FTR, when they were in WWE, I actually got a lot of credit for this. About a year, 9 months before, I said, you know what? FTR, they're going to inject comedy. You know, it's not going to happen overnight, but you mark my words, they're going to turn them into a comedic act because that's the only way they're going to get them to connect to a broader audience because although we like old school, although the Brainbusters is one of my favorite tag teams of all time, but unfortunately the WWE Universe, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard from the 80s, I mean, I don't know a lot of people out there that sit there and ooh and ah. There's a reason why people, you know, were enjoying, you know, it's funny. You know, I see people online that always make fun of the flippy. You know, they always make fun of the flippy. I don't know if they're just hoping that maybe Jim Cornette one day, like, sends them a like, hey, man, you know. But, you know, you have to adapt to pro wrestling as it evolves. You know, I never in a million years ever thought, and you all know me for a long time, I always shit on the dick flip for years and years and years. When I saw Mick Foley defending that some people in the audience were laughing, having a great time, and if that's your audience, and I knocked it at the time, and I said, you know, there's always going to be a goof that is going to laugh at a train wreck. You look at Jackass, all right, Steve-O and some of them. Like, some of the stuff I watch, I laugh. But I laugh at the stuff like when they walk in the room and boom, giant fist across the face. That's the stuff I laugh at. But the idea of, you know, some of the things that they do where you really, like, somebody could get seriously injured, I don't laugh at that stuff. I'm like, man, you're an idiot. You're a dope. So just because there's a couple of people in the audience laughing at the dick flip and somebody doing a suplex because they're holding on to somebody's nuts, I could never get into that. It has nothing to do with the sexuality part of it. It's just, it's beyond Papa Shango. It's beyond that. But I also understood that the comedy factor of wrestling seems to be what a lot of people enjoyed. That's the reason why Santino Marella with, you know, that's why he got so over. I mean, because the Cobra thing, you know, it was comedic. It was stupid. But then when he started, like, the Cobra, like, is taking a life of its own and, you know, that's when it got stupid. But my point is, with FTR, they are no nonsense. Pro wrestling, straight up, no flips, just fists and everything. And that's fine. But FTR is a team that would probably be attractive to an older audience. That's why Arn Anderson is with Cody. It's not that they're trying to get the 50 and over group to get into Cody because Arn is there with a clipboard. If anything, no disrespect intended, Arn Anderson having to have that much on a clipboard for a Cody match, what is that saying? Cody, you know, you suck. I have to have all his grid and all his printout, you know? Me, I swear to God, I for the entire night, I could just look straight at the camera with no notes in front of me and I could do the whole show. As long as I remember all the matches and I don't forget. You know, Arn Anderson, I know the idea. He's a coach. He's got this. He's got a grid. He's like looking at this. You have to have that much on the paper for your client to wrestle. What does that say about your client? So I don't want to see Arn Anderson managing FTR. Him with his sweaters and the clipboard and stuff like that. It's not cool to me. So FTR, though, is a team that is old school. Do young people that are into flippy, if that emotional high, you know what it's like? This is the best way I could describe it. I just had this analogy. It might be horribly bad. It just came to my mind now. I remember back in the late 80s, early 90s, when I was into big-time house music, you know, party people and your Can You Party and all that stuff. Then they started to come up with breakbeat. And I don't know if a lot of you know what breakbeat music is, but it's basically music, but just like 10 times faster. And I remember one time, this is no joke, I remember one time going to a club in Long Island. It was really an underground party. And we walked into this club. Me, I'm into house music. You know, like me, I don't dance and everything, but I'm like house music all night long. Say what? House music all night long. Like just like hanging out, you know, just this, being at the bar. That's all I would do. I wouldn't dance. So one time, me and my friends went to this breakbeat party. We walk in there, and there's girls in cages. It almost looks like the old NWA TNA when you used to have the women in the cages and all that. And it looked hot. It looked sexy. There was a lot of girls there, and we thought we were going to have a great time. Then when we walked into, like, further into the club and then started listening to music, the music is so fast. People are like... I'm like... What could you imagine I look like? What am I going to do? Sit at the bar and be like... Like, it was so fast. I don't understand how people didn't have heart attacks, especially doing ecstasy and other drugs and everything. So imagine going to a club with high, fast-paced music like that, and everybody, even if you don't want to go that fast, but, you know, fast music, like, you know, like whatever. And then all of a sudden, you throw on a slow song. Everybody's going to be looking at each other like, man, get that shit off. You know, we don't want to hear Peebo Bryson. So... that's what it is with the young crowd that's into flips and acrobatics and energy and this and that. You put FTR in the ring, you know, it takes a step back. Now, so Tully Blanchard being with FTR works perfect. That will attract an older audience to enjoy FTR. Now, they took on Private Party last night and defeated them, which is the way to go. The announcers, Tony Schiavone, Kaz, and Jim Ross, and by the way, Excalibur, I think is going to be back this Thursday, because I believe it's Thursday this week that they're going to be on. In fact, a lot of you were asking me, DT, will you do an AEW recap on Thursday? My answer to you is, I will check with Mish, because I would never overlap Wrestling Soup's normal show. So if Wrestling Soup is off the air by the time AEW Dynamite is done, I will be up Thursday night doing an AEW Dynamite recap for all of you. So yesterday, I felt like the announcers were bringing up too much that FTR were the number one contenders. Because the more they kept saying it during that match, I'm like, okay, well, now it makes no sense for them to lose. Now, I didn't think they were going to lose against Private Party anyway. Notice that there's virtually no disqualifications, too. You know, Tony, once in a while you can have a disqualification, you know? I mean, and I got news for you. I think maybe a disqualification yesterday might have been a better way to go. I mean, FTR yesterday beating Private Party was pretty much expected. Now, I'll tell you why I really, really loved Private Party versus FTR yesterday. In fact, I think I'm right on this. I saw a tweet yesterday from Aubrey Edwards saying the most entertaining match that her favorite match that she's ever reffed. I didn't see her having a conversation with anyone. And I may be way off on this, but she tweeted that right after FTR versus Private Party. If anyone out there is an AEW fan, and you should be if you're tuning in right now, because all I'm talking about is AEW, do you remember... Darren, where did I brag? I didn't brag anything. But anyway, if anybody out there could take a look at Aubrey Edwards' Twitter account while I'm doing this right now and double check that, I think she said yesterday that her refereeing Private Party versus FTR is a favorite match that she's ever reffed. And the reason why I'm saying this is because what I loved about Private Party and FTR yesterday is that FTR forced Private Party down to earth a little bit. And what I mean by that is Private Party, they're awesome in the ring. they're still young and they still make a lot of mistakes, and the ring presence is not always there. There's more about a spot than anything else. But they were forced to pull back a little bit yesterday. They got some of their moves in. They were hitting a lot of spots, but it wasn't non-stop action. Yeah, kind of pun intended. During the match, they actually were forced to bring it back, dial it down a little bit, because they were taking on FTR. And they did a great job. They did a great job. The match was entertaining yesterday. No word yet if Aubrey Edwards actually was tweeting that about that match. But, you know, if she did tweet about that match, saying that that was her favorite match to ref, that should tell you, you know. And the thing is, I'll say this too. You go back and you see how Aubrey Edwards and others refereed yesterday. The referees were a lot more, I don't want to say normal, but they were a lot more in control. You know, they weren't like this, like what we've talked about in the past. So, A. Espinoza says that the audio is live on Mixlr. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I want to use Mixlr as audio only from now on for anybody that, you know, wants to enjoy it. So, you know, I'm not sure if it's on, but if you say it's on, you know, that's cool. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. But I will tell you that tonight's SummerSlam, that will be on Mixlr for sure. Like I said, I was originally going to record this in advance, but I wanted to mingle with the chat a little bit, so that's why we do it live. But they had a great match yesterday. They hit the Goodnight Express for the pin. I really enjoyed the match. It felt like it was an AEW match, but it was more organized. It just didn't feel like watching a video game match. And that goes to show you that Private Party can hang with a team that doesn't do flips, and FTR can work and adapt to a team that is a lot of high-flying action. Now, look, Usos feuded with the Revival, and Usos are high-flying as well. But in AEW, it was a really nice balance yesterday, and I got to tell you, you know, I know this may sound ridiculous, but that might have been in my top 5 of favorite FTR/Revival matches yet. It was a basic Dynamite match, but it was a really good match. I enjoyed it tremendously, absolutely. Now, I said that there's something I really liked, there's something that I liked a little bit, and there's something I didn't, that it's not that I didn't like it at all, but something that was very glaring. I don't know if anybody could figure out what was glaring about last night. Do you want me to bring it up now? You want me to jump all the way ahead? You know? No, we'll wait. We'll wait. Moxley cuts a promo talking about MJF's campaign. Moxley was hilarious yesterday. He hopes Moxley has a great future with AEW. He hopes that he has 15, 20-year career with AEW because Moxley wants AEW to succeed. And by the way, off topic, Moxley had some very interesting comments trashing Thunderdome. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not going to talk about them until probably tomorrow on Monday's show, but I'll say this. Although I gave Thunderdome a thumbs up on Friday, and obviously changes are needed, Moxley, what he said, you can't disagree with a lot of it. It's pretty much what I've said before. If you got I don't want to say WWE's rotten, but if you have a Shangata piece of meat, you could make it look nice and everything, but at the end of the day, it's still a shoddy piece of meat. So, all right. Darren's cool dude, so all right. One thing that caught my eye yesterday that I did not like at all was the very end of AEW Dynamite. Now, I didn't mind the soap opera stuff where Brandy is laid out and Cody is laid out, and while they're there like this, they somehow hold each other's hand. Oh, now me, what I would have gotten a kick out of is when Cody and Brandy was holding their hands. I don't know if any of you have ever done this, and your significant other goes, ew. Like my fiance holds my hand once in a while. I'll hold the hand and I'll go like this. I don't know if you know what that is, but I would have popped yesterday if Cody or Brandy would have went like this instead. But no, they're holding hands and they're all unconscious and everything. I didn't have any problems with that. What I had a problem with is Superbucks. Superbucks. I have talked about this since October of last year. The Superbucks come out every time somebody that they like, or is someone in their camp, someone they like, or a good person. They always come out to check things out. Did you notice Cody gets annihilated? Brandy gets annihilated. You see how they drag out QT Marshall? Who that? Talk about a guy, and again, I have nothing personal against QT Marshall, but they drag him out. I'm like, where you going? Where you stopping? Keep going. Daly's place. The river. The Alligator Alley. I don't want to see nothing happen to him, but, who the fuck cares? QT Marshall gets dragged out unconscious. Stop taking, like Oliver from the Brady Bunch. Stop taking Oliver and trying to make him into this mainstream household name. He is good. He's talented. He does a lot of work for AEW, behind the scenes, in the school. He's definitely a huge asset for that company, no question. But giving him other people's finishers and giving him a girlfriend and getting him laid and giving him hair and giving him the idea, it's just, at the end of the day, you're looking at like, that's like the equivalent of Horace Hogan being forced out there nonstop. So where were the Superbucks last night? Seriously, anybody? How come the Superbucks did not come out to the rescue of Cody during all of this? Was there something I missed? Did the Superbucks get handcuffed backstage? Are they going to do something like a exclusive on social media? That's the Young Bucks. They were laid out. Why were the Superbucks not out there? Superbucks come out there if somebody fucking slips on sweat outside the ring and their ankle has a boo-boo. So that's what annoyed me about the finish yesterday. People that come out there they were in the shower room. When was that stopped them before? They come out there, they're wrestling almost next to nothing anyway. What are you going to do? Put on flip-flops like Kenny Omega did that one time. You put on flip-flops. Nothing. Every time, from October of last year to last night, every time someone they like, someone in their camp, or someone that's a good guy gets the beat down big time, Superbucks always happen to be around ringside, maybe not necessarily getting involved, but checking on the person. They have him on a stretcher. They put him on the neck brace. Cody's got his hand on Brandy, and the Superbucks are nowhere to be found. There's no phone booth for them to go into and change. That's what I noticed last night. I said, you've been doing this for 10 months. Where are the Superbucks? That's what happens when you do the same shit over and over and over again, and then for no reason, you don't do it this time. Should have had on the screen that the Young Bucks were laid out in the back. There could have been something. You can't put it exclusive on social media later on because we fucked up. We forgot. Or people notice it. That's what I noticed yesterday. I'm like, where are they? Where are they? That annoyed the shit out of me. Even Omega, if you want to go to a certain extent. By the way, remember we talked about a month or so ago? I'd like to see Kenny Omega turn heel instead of Hangman Page. Kenny, and that's another thing yesterday. Kenny Omega, he wants to do a little extra. Just think of storyline purposes. The Young Bucks just fought the Butcher and the Blade, where they jumped off of the Empire State Building onto them through two tables and had a violent fight. And because Kenny Omega wants to use a chair, one of the Young Bucks, Superbucks, throw the chair outside the ring. It's just little things like that. Like, all right, if you want to do something, like that's really out of line and try to cause dissension, fine. Problem is, you got to think about everything that you did to lead up to this point. You can't have the Young Bucks in a street fight literally doing everything to murder the Butcher and the Blade, and Kenny Omega bringing a chair in the ring. We can't have that. We can't have that. Yeah, who's that? I don't mind the Butcher and the Blade as much as I used to. And by the way, I love the Eddie Kingston stuff. I love how he looks at the camera and he winks his eye. You know, and some people on social media were like, ooh, he's going to swerve them. No, he's just showing, like, see, I have control. I just don't know if I want Eddie Kingston as the manager of them. Maybe you turn, you know what? I just had a brainstorm. They might end up screwing the Butcher and the Blade over, and the Butcher and the Blade may end up being baby faces. And then you have Eddie Kingston with the Lucha Brothers. You add Ivelisse and Diamante to that group, and I'm not saying necessarily you put Santana and Ortiz as well, but I could see them having a Latin group, almost like an LAX group. Seriously. So we'll see. So Moxley cuts a promo on MJF. He hopes he's a success. And he's like, hey, one day you'll move out of your parents' basement. You'll lose your virginity and this and that. It was a fun promo. He promised to punch, kick, elbow, smash the hell out of MJF. And he believes MJF will be heavyweight champion one day, but it won't be September 5th. And remember, as I pointed it out, we got SummerSlam tonight. We got Payback next week. We have AEW the following week. So there's going to be lots of pay-per-view recaps, lots of podcasts in the very near future. So MJF cuts his promo with his campaign, camp, his legal team, and he's wearing a neck brace, and he's with his lawyer, and they want to ban the paradigm shift. No problem with that. It's not as big of a deal. They're trying to make this into some crazy storyline. I mean, MJF was great yesterday, almost literally in tears, crying. And if Moxley doesn't agree to ban the paradigm shift, that they're going to sue Moxley, you know what's going to happen. Moxley's going to be on TV like, yeah, whatever. That's how they're going to do it. Moxley will win with another move. I would be shocked to shit if MJF won the title this soon. I'm not saying that I would knock it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Moxley with a funny promo, MJF with a great promo. So this leads to Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, Dustin Rhodes, and QT Marshall beating the Butcher, the Blade, and the Lucha Brothers. It was a fun match. Kind of went less time than I thought it would. It was cool to see Jungle Boy actually get the win. He rolled up the Blade, and it was a decent match. The news about it was after the match was over. Butcher and the Blade, Lucha Brothers starting to push each other, blaming each other for the loss. Eddie Kingston comes in and, he's singing the praise about all the guys. I think he said to the Blade that he's been wrestling up and down the roads with him for many, many years and paid dues. And he said the ultimate due is death. So, he's trying to, appease each one of them. I was told and read a few places as well that Eddie Kingston last night had referenced Rey Fenix with Rey Mysterio Jr., and they cut that out, which I'm a little surprised because, name dropping Rey Mysterio is a sign of respect. I don't think people are going to turn away from AEW and watch WWE simply because they mention the words Rey Mysterio, but hey, they edited it out, no big deal. But Eddie Kingston basically playing manager, gets them all on the right page. And Eddie Kingston, winks to the camera like, see, I got everything squared away. I would like to see Butcher and Blade get swerved by the Lucha Brothers. Let them turn them face, kind of like refreshing Butcher and Blade a little bit. And they can add a few other people to their stable. Just an idea. Aaron, it's not too soon for Brian Cage to get a push. The problem is that AEW has a set time frame for certain people to be champions. I will say this. I think FTR are going to be the ones that take the tag titles off of Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. Kind of feels that's the way they're going. I could be wrong. Maybe my mind changes in the next couple of weeks. But as of right now, that's what it feels like it's going. And I don't want to see anything like WWE with the Street Profits. I don't want to see them spiking Hangman Page's beer so he's intoxicated or massively under the influence. It would be interesting if they had him do like a breathalyzer before the match and he fails the breathalyzer, so now it's a 2-on-1. But, we'll see. We'll see. They showed a vignette with Dr. Britt Baker, and they're in the gym with Reba. And basically, they show Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford making out. And, Britt Baker is talking about how saliva has so much bacteria in it and this and that, which is pretty funny. And Britt Baker offered them a free year of dental care if they join their group. And basically wanted to have Reba and Penelope Ford in a handicap match against Big Swole. And they didn't accept it. So then Britt Baker offers them a free year of makeup from Reba if Penelope Ford would accept. And they agreed. So what is this going to lead? Basically, Big Swole is going to beat the shit out of both of them instead of one. Hey, it gets a little airtime for the two of them. Kip Sabian, obviously, without Jimmy Havoc around now, it's affected him, but, he's, again, it's good that they pulled back on him. And I brought that up about 6 weeks ago, that I don't understand the amount of TV air that they're giving him on the main product because he's not a ratings draw in any way, shape, or form. So next we get something very, very weird. By the way, if you're enjoying this episode, give it a thumbs up. So this way it pops up as a recommendation elsewhere. That would be pretty cool from everybody. And then don't forget, we did the NXT TakeOver recap right before this one. Later tonight, do SummerSlam. Should be fun. It's already 5:15 Eastern. And the pre-show starts at 6. So that means we're going to be getting out of here very, very soon. How long did we go so far? We've gone 42 minutes. All right, not too bad for AEW Dynamite recap. But this segment, I'm not sure how I feel about it so far. They hyped up that Orange Cassidy was going to give his first interview in AEW. Tony Schiavone invites Orange Cassidy to the ring. He comes out with best friends. And right before Orange Cassidy's going to talk, Chris Jericho interrupts him. Chris Jericho did exactly what I said last week he was going to do. He was going to sing the praise of Orange Cassidy, show him some respect, but then after that, I'm not sure how I feel about this right now. Chris Jericho offers a proposal to Orange Cassidy. Right now, they are one win apiece. I almost said peach. One win apiece. So Chris Jericho feels that they should do the tiebreaker and see who is the better man of the two. So Chris Jericho points to their AEW Titantron and they show a vignette. It's already a pre-made commercial, which looks like will be used for the pay-per-view. And Chris Jericho offers the first time ever a Mimosa Mayhem match. I kid you not. I originally thought this was going to be satire. I thought this was going to be satire. I thought that this was designed just to maybe, do something stupid, Orange Cassidy, whatever, back and forth. But they're dead serious about this. Jericho brings up that they're going to have, around ringside, 80 gallons of orange juice and champagne, a little bit of the bubbly. Because for people that don't know, to make a mimosa, you use champagne and orange juice. So they keep saying repeatedly that 80 gallons of mimosa is going to be around ringside. And the only way to win the match is by pinfall, submission, or throwing your opponent into the tank. And Orange Cassidy accepts the challenge. Then you get the Inner Circle. They come out. They circle the ring. They beat the crap out of Best Friends. And then Jericho pours champagne all over Orange Cassidy. Now, let me say this. I'm not going to completely knock it until I see it. But I will tell you my immediate reaction. I actually tweeted this yesterday and then I deleted it because I'm not there to get, hey, everybody like my tweet. I figure I'll just save it here. I used to have a 75-gallon fish tank. Now, yes, a 75-gallon fish tank doesn't necessarily have 75 gallons of water exactly, but it is not that far off. Anybody out there have a 55-gallon tank, which is pretty much the average size that people get for fish tanks? I don't even think we could fit our ass in a 55-gallon tank. When you actually Google an 80-gallon fish tank and you actually see how small it is, 80 gallons of mimosa is going to look ridiculously stupid, in my opinion. What they're probably going to do is get an inflatable kiddie pool. And by the way, your typical tiny inflatable kiddie pool holds over 100 gallons of liquid. A tiny kiddie pool. So if you put a kiddie pool around ringside big enough so Jericho is swimming around and he can't get up and he keeps falling down, if you put 80 gallons of mimosa in that pool, there's going to be about this high of mimosa. There's going to be it's going to be maybe, if you'd be lucky if it's 6 inches or even a foot high of mimosa. So it just sounds like a train wreck, to be honest with you. You're not going to have that around ringside without it being used. Somebody is going in it. But again, I don't understand why they used the 80-gallon number in the first place. I don't understand why they did that. They could have just said a Mimosa Mayhem match. There's going to be, a pool of mimosa around ringside. I don't think they realized how little 80 gallons actually is. Plus, this is another thing. If you think they're actually going to go out and buy 80 gallons worth of champagne and mimosa and mix it together, I could take this right now. And I'm not kidding. I could have this much of it be water and then fill this much up with orange juice, and the entire container will look like it's orange juice. Champagne doesn't really bubble. When you have a glass of champagne and it's sitting, like it's sitting on a pool for a few minutes, there's really not going to be much bubbles. And when you buy a mimosa, you don't really see much bubbles in mimosa. So this pool is going to be filled with probably this much of orange juice or something with food coloring, and 90% of it is going to be water anyway. So why would you only say 80 gallons? They could have said 200 gallons, 300 gallons. They didn't need to say gallons at all. 80 gallons of liquid is nothing. It doesn't even fill up a kiddie pool. So I think that was a mistake on AEW's part, to be honest with you. I think it was definitely a mistake. I don't know how you all feel about it. Definitely post on the comments section on YouTube. Let me know what you think. I personally think that was a big mistake. It sounds, and the funny thing is, you can't rip WWE for dumb gimmicks and then try to defend this. Either rip them all or you don't rip it at all. I'm not going to shit on this until I see it. But the fact that they brought up the 80 gallons thing, something tells me that number will be less and less brought up. Or maybe they changed that entirely, because 80 gallons is ridiculously stupid. It's dumb. So, next we have the Elite beating the Dark Order. A decent match. We had Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks taking on the Dark Order. Fun match. Problem is, the members of the Dark Order that are in the match with 5, 10, or whoever the fuck they are, 5, 10, and 15, I don't care about them. I actually cared about Darby Allin's match more, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I was a little confused about Darby Allin's match. And trust me, I have a feeling a lot of people are going to agree with me what I say. But the Elite, have a decent match. They beat the Dark Order. But after the match is over, we have Kenny Omega beating the crap of Allin Angels. And, he was going to use a chair, and then the Young Bucks throw the chair away and calm Kenny Omega down and this and that. Like I said, when you have the Young Bucks doing crazy-ass street fights, and then Kenny Omega can't even use a chair after, it just looks really, really goofy, in my opinion. Just my opinion. But I do like the idea of having Kenny Omega turn. Absolutely like it. I'm not crapping on the Dark Order as much as I used to, but they have not spent enough time building up some of their characters so we give a shit. I could care less about 5. I could care less about 10. I could care less about some of the members there. I have no connection to them whatsoever. So now we have a backstage interview with FTR and Tully Blanchard. And starting next week, they're going to have a gauntlet match to determine who Kenny Omega and Hangman Page are going to face it all out. And I think the first match might be the Young Bucks versus Dustin and QT Marshall. Whatever. But basically, Hangman Page comes in there, and Tully Blanchard is talking about being a winner and this and that. I like I said, I absolutely love Tully being the manager of FTR, and now I'm actually feeling FTR being tag team champions. And, Hangman Page confronted them about what they did to the Rock and Roll Express last week. And they said, it was nothing personal. It was just business. But, it is what it is. They basically talked about Hardwood having a fake knee injury and this and that. And that's after trash talking the Young Bucks for all this time, blah, 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 blah. But, this is to maybe tease Hangman Page possibly turn into. I don't know if I want to see Hangman and Kenny Omega turning. Be interesting. Makes you wonder if they would do that just so they could have another match with the Young Bucks. Who knows? But we'll see where it goes. But Darby Allen takes on Will Hobbs. Can someone tell me who was the baby face in that match and who was the heel? I mean, we know Darby Allen is a baby face, not your typical baby face, but he is. But if you actually go watch that match back, Darby Allen was wrestling like he's a heel. Even the mannerisms, even some of the stuff, the antics with Will Hobbs and him. Will Hobbs was playing a babyface, and Darby Allen was pretty much playing a heel. Now, I don't know where this leads in the future. It's not an outdated trope, Darren. There's psychology involved with that. And the way the match went on yesterday, it just felt like Darby Allen, it just felt like he was a heel. And if you're saying that's an outdated trope, then what do you care if Omega turns heel or not? Or Hangman Page turns heel or not? That's what everybody's talking about. If it's an outdated trope, then you don't. We shouldn't even talk about any turn. If it's an outdated trope, then there's no reason to talk about somebody turning. You see what happened? Hangman? No, that's outdated. No, he just behavioral decision. Just a change in view. It's a viewpoint change. Darby Allen fought like a heel yesterday. Go back and watch it and see what I'm talking about. But he beats Will Hobbs. Nice to see Will Hobbs on Dynamite. Not going to deny it. Taz then cuts a promo. And Taz is talking about Team Taz, and they got a new member. And he says that his name is also Darby, but he's not a schmuck like you. And they bring out Ricky Starks, who's got the face paint like Darby Allen. And they have a little bit of a stare down, and Ricky Starks cuts a promo mimicking Darby Allen. And again, talk about outdated trope. If you watch the match right before this, like, I had no sympathy for Darby Allen at all, in my opinion. But, you know, Ricky Starks is mimicking Darby Allen. Taz laughing his ass off. And then Brian Cage attacks Darby Allen from behind and cut an awesome promo on Darby Allen and laid him out with a skateboard shot. So it looks like we'll probably have Brian Cage versus Darby Allen at All Out. And not for nothing, you all were having a knipshit when Brian Cage lost to Tessa Blanchard. Try to defend to me Darby Allen beating Brian Cage. Not sure if I'm feeling that, to be honest with you. So Sammy Guevara comes out. He's got cards in hand. He's apologizing, not apologizing. Matt Hardy attacks him from behind, throws Guevara off a stage through a table. And it was funny because today Guevara puts up a picture of his lower back area right above his buttocks, and there's a little bit of a bruise there. And, you know, he's basically like, you know, this is not over and this and that. But it looks so tiny. Like, I know that wasn't his intention, but it looks so tiny. I'm like, oh, poor baby. That's nothing compared to some of the injuries. So, John is saying that it's 80 gallons of OJ and 500 cases of champagne. Then why talk about 80 gallons of mimosa? 80 gallons of mimosa. So, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Like I said, I think, and here's another thing too. If you ever had a mimosa and you know how much juice you put in and how much champagne you put in there, using 500 cases of bubbly and 80 gallons of orange juice doesn't make a mimosa. So like I said, there was no reason to bring up a certain number of gallons. Just put that we're going to have 500 cases of champagne and orange juice at ringside. That's it. Plain and simple. Don't have to get into specifics. You know, so like I said, in the end, it's going to be 90% water. And that's fine. That's fine. You know, when you go in there, you'll get a little bit of hint of, you know, if they use some orange juice. Personally, I think maybe some food coloring is probably more appropriate. So, you know, mojito wouldn't be all that good. Mojito really, you know, a lot of mojito is very little color. You got a little garnish, but... So Matt Hardy beats the crap out of Guevara. Then we get something cool, and it was good that we realized that the spoilers that leaked out last week were... Some of the results were actually true, but the descriptions of how they came to that were all bullshit. Last week, spoiler came out that Thunder Rosa was going to challenge Hikaru Shida, and that happened. Match didn't happen, like some people said last week, but she did cut a promo. And you will have Thunder Rosa. They showed her with the NWA Women's Championship and everything. She accepted the challenge, or she called out Hikaru Shida since Hikaru Shida put out an open challenge. Thunder Rosa accepted it. I love it. I will continue to say that I am extremely concerned about NWA's immediate future. You know, I don't think it's going to die or go out of business, but there is a lot of damage. Out of all the promotions out there, NWA has suffered the biggest damage because of COVID. You have quite a few of their talents that are gone. And I'm not saying Thunder Rosa is gone because she's still their women's champion. But when you actually think about how many people are no longer in NWA, you know, it's not Nick Aldis and everyone else, or Nick Aldis and Thunder Rosa and everyone else. NWA is going to have a long time rebuilding. But you know what? Before COVID, I think we can all say that Billy Corgan was doing an excellent job trying to repair the image of NWA. So there's no reason why he can't do that again. It'll just take a lot longer. But Thunder Rosa challenges Hikaru Shida, and they will fight at All Out. I'm telling you, All Out is turning out to be an awesome card when you really look at it. So, we then had the finals for the Women's Tournament Cup, Tag Team Tournament Cup. Medusa was there to present the winners. A lot of us were a little bit worried as far as who was going to win this match. We think about, and look, kudos that Allin and Brodie did not win it. Ivelisse Diamante winning it is a great thing. I loved how Medusa presented them, the medals, flowers, the cup, and they basically threw down the flowers and showed the Puerto Rican flags. So I thought that was pretty cool. And, good. Good that Brodie and Allin didn't get it. Nothing personal against them. I've been defending AEW heels to the max. But they should, in my opinion, should not have gone to the finals. I would have been fine with Tainara Conti and K. What was it, K and J they called them? I would have been fine with K and J, yeah. I would have been fine with Big Swall and Little Swall in the finals. But, the fact that they were half the headliner in the finals, I'm like, come on. But in the end, the right team won. I think when you look at the overall tournament, I think Ivelisse and Diamante were everybody's choice to win. And who knows? Maybe we'll do the contest this week. Maybe we'll give away that Ivelisse, excuse me, not Diamante, the Ivelisse hat that I have inside, personally signed and everything. So it was decent. They had a little bit of a clusterfuck where QT Marshall jumped the apron again. Nothing against this guy, but why the fuck is this guy got this amount of TV time? He jumps the guardrail. He jumps the ring apron. Brodie falls into it. It's just it's a mess. Now, what is this going to lead to? A falling out between Dustin and QT Marshall? Does anybody really care about that? Yeah, A. Espinosa instead of NWA's 20. Well, it was really a 20-year plan. Now it may need to be a 25-year plan. But, there was a little bit of a clusterfuck with QT Marshall, getting involved, and it backfired. I don't know. I just, sorry, I don't mean it to sound so nasty. I'm just not into that story at all. Brodie and Allin and QT, Dustin and whatever. It feels like people in the back, work in the back, rewarding themselves with a high-profile storyline. It's just me from the outside looking in. That's how I feel. But I will say this. Nobody's talking about it. I thought Vita Scott did awesome on commentary. I like her commentary work. Would I want to hear it on a weekly basis? Not yet. But she does a good job on commentary. And, some people might say, oh, that's their Beth Phoenix, for NXT. She does a good job. And that's all that matters. I like that they have a female commentator when there's women's wrestling going on. I don't know if you would want a female commentator. And every time there's a women's match on Dynamite, use your regular announcers. But she did a good job yesterday. I really have no issue with that at all. So, we now have some hype for next week. Next week, Chris Jericho will be on commentary. We're going to have the tag team gauntlet match. Like I said, I heard QT Marshall and Dustin versus Young Bucks. Maybe that's not the case. If anybody could double check that for me. But I'm pretty sure that they actually, somebody's showing me right now. Best Friends will face the winners of the Young Bucks versus the Natural Nightmares. And then FTR will face the winner of that match. So, basically, the gauntlet consists of 3 tag teams. Best Friends, Natural Nightmares, Young Bucks. That's it. But wait, that doesn't make sense, though. Where's FTR will face the guy. So you will have the Natural Nightmares versus the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks will then face Best Friends. And then the winners of the first two teams versus best friends will face FTR. And then the winners will go on to face Page and Omega. So I think, like I said, in the end, I think FTR advances. And you know FTR, you see what they did there, right? Natural Nightmares, baby faces. Young Bucks, baby faces. Best Friends, baby faces. So that guarantees FTR facing a baby face. Next week, Big Swall versus Britt Baker. No, wait, excuse me. Big Swall versus Reba. I think Penelope Ford will be taken on in a handicap match. And then we also have next week, which confuses the shit out of me, Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in a tables match. They're having a match at All Out. So I don't know why do such a gimmicky match right before All Out. I would not have had them in a match next week. I mean, I don't know if anybody thinks that this is, to try to boost the ratings even further because of all the executive changes in TNT. But Matt Hardy versus Guevara should not be taking place next week, in my opinion. You'll have a contract signing next week with Moxley and MJF. And I'm sure there's going to be more announced in the next couple of days. Yeah, a lot of people agree too. I mean, look, one of my favorite feuds right now is Guevara and Matt Hardy. I think, you save it and build it up for All Out. I don't know why. You know what? Wouldn't be surprised if that match doesn't happen next week. Maybe that match does not happen. Maybe some interference, someone gets attacked. Maybe it doesn't go down. And that'll probably happen very early in the night as well, to give it enough time to issue the challenge for All Out. So expect that to be happening very early in the night, in my opinion. So main event, and then we're going to get out of here because the pre-show for WWE SummerSlam starts in 20 minutes, and I know a lot of you out there want to watch that, as do I. And not only that, I then have to go to Patreon and get that all set up, get everything set up for tonight, put these shows online, the TakeOver show. Got a lot of work tonight. Plus, I got to cook dinner. So, main event. How do I explain this in more than 2 minutes? Main event, honestly, Brodie Lee versus Cody. Am I making this up by saying this? Brodie just beat the fuck out of him. Nobody has brought this up, but it felt like that match where Brock Lesnar beats the crap out of John Cena and just dominated the whole match. I don't know if that's what AEW's thinking was. Oh, Cody Christ, we have to have his ass handed to him. One-sided so bad. Maybe this leads now to a storyline where Cody's got to find himself and maybe he's lost it and blah, 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 blah. So the storyline that follows might be worse than what went down yesterday. What am I eating tonight for dinner? Well, I know some people don't like this, but me, what I do is I soak it in olive oil. I add a little garlic, diced garlic, a little garlic powder, and I spread it out on a cookie sheet, or I put it in my air fryer. I make Brussels sprouts. And then right before they're crispy and done, I sprinkle some grated cheese on it, let it soak in a little bit. I'm having that. Might make a little bit of pan-fried steak, a little bit of butter, salad, and probably make her some rice and me cheese. I don't know. If not, then I might have to just order something quick. So that's what the agenda is for tonight. She's actually got meatloaf inside, so maybe I'll just reheat meatloaf, But anyway, yeah, it's good eating. This weekend's been a good weekend. Seriously. Between, doing the shows with all of you, getting AEW Dynamite on a Saturday, getting NXT TakeOver, seeing Karrion Kross win the belt, getting SummerSlam tonight, the Thunderdome concept, something fresh, different. Although I will say this, I'm glad Dynamite went over, had to start late yesterday because I focused a lot on NBA setup with their virtual fans. NBA rocks it 1,000 times better than WWE. Like I said Friday, and a lot of people gave me credit for this. NBA looks like virtual fans in the audience. WWE looks like wallpaper. It looks like wallpaper. It looks like you're looking at a screen of screens. And the worst is nobody paying attention. You took away NXT TakeOver last night, even though there's an AEW recap. Let me say this about the NXT TakeOver last night. You had the regular NXT fans around ringside. That energy, banging on a plexiglass, chanting, "This is awesome," everything else. I'll take that 1,000 times more than a Thunderdome screen that's not even synced up with the live in-ring action. And when you see your favorites win, or you see a crazy move in the ring, and you see the fans on Thunderdome doing this. Because it's not even live. I had a lot of complaints about Friday. Overall, I gave it a thumbs up because a lot can be improved. But how come we don't complain about that with AEW? AEW does a phenomenal job. They have people sitting in the boondocks. You know, we live in a free country. You know, there's germs in the air. There's measles, chickenpox, cold, flu, you know, VD, gonorrhea, AIDS. You can't like put people in an environment where, you know, there's no risk at all. People are responsible for their own actions. I go out in public, I go to a bank, I put a mask on, and as soon as I get out of the bank, I put sanitizer on my hands. You know, I do what I feel is necessary to prevent me from getting sick. If people want to be careless and go to a wrestling show, go to a restaurant, go to a library, go to a bank, go wherever else, and then they get sick over it, that's on them. The rest of the world should not suffer because of people that just are careless. That's how I look at it. So anyway, getting back to the main event, there's really not much to say. Brodie Lee beat the shit out of Cody in 5 minutes, maybe not even. Cody had no offense. After the match was over, Dark Order just beats the crap out of Cody further. They put him on a stretcher. They put oxygen on him. Yeah, Brandy comes over and she's like holding Cody. And you see the Dark Order, I think with Anna Jay, like, good. And she chokes out Brandy. And again, this is to put the camera on Brandy. They go off the air and Cody and Brandy are unconscious. We bring QT Marshall out there. We bring Dustin out there. Bring Pharaoh out there. Please, bring the parents. Bring mom. Bring the car. Bring the blazer. You know, they did an excellent job with the stretcher job. They did an excellent job. Brodie Lee breaking up the old title because you realize that it was just a template was great view as well. The problem is it's the old title. You know, you still have the new title in the end. If you're going to break something, you know, you break the title. When Sergeant Slaughter did that to Backlund, who else broke titles over the years? You don't break the old title. You break the new title. You make the person who... But why even do that? You should have broke the old title, before they came out with the new title. Brodie Lee should have attacked Cody 2 weeks ago and destroyed the old title. Then they could have brought out a new title, or Brodie Lee could have introduced it like MVP did. So they lay out Cody. Cody gets carried off. I'll tell you, man, kudos for AEW for going that route and having Cody get his ass handed to him. No offense. But again, I don't know what the purpose was with this. I'm a little concerned that there's going to be this big storyline after that. You know, I got to search and I got to look, you know, maybe I don't have it. And then you got to have to go through weeks of that. Does he address Superbucks for not coming out? I mean, there's just it was great, but it leaves a lot of questions and there are some holes in it. So I am very happy with Brodie Lee being champion. I think it's ignorant for people during the COVID era to say that Brodie Lee's been a bust. It's just things have been in such disarray because of COVID. He is talented. I own one of his shirts to show support. Not to get a like, hey, thanks for wearing my shirt. No, I wear it because I like the guy. You know, they haven't been able to utilize him the way they wanted to. So let's see where it goes from here. Still not a fan of the Dark Order as a group overall, even though Evil Pizza Uno I actually like now. I don't know why. It's weird. Maybe it's like Brussels sprouts. I know growing up I couldn't stand them, couldn't stand the smell. My mother would make them. I'm like, come on, Mom, it smells like sauteed vomit. And for some reason a couple of years ago, I just like found myself eating. I'm like, why am I eating these? Like, I don't remember, like, you know, I don't remember even my girl saying, oh, if you eat those, oh, will I do what I'll do to you tonight if you eat some Brussels sprouts. Like, nobody bribed me. Nobody sent me a super chat, eat Brussels sprouts. I just found myself eating it one day. I'm like, wait, why am I eating these? And I'm like, oh, same thing with Evil Pizza Uno. Evil Pizza Uno is like my Brussels sprouts. For some reason, I like them now, and I'm saying, why? I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know why. Don't know why. And like I said earlier on the NXT recap, if my face is a little red, it's not because I haven't figured out all the color schemes yet with the new camera, but I slapped myself a little silly earlier for admitting that a certain wrestler with a goofy hat and a beard in NXT is warming up to me. I don't know why, but... So anyway, AEW went off the air yesterday. I will tell you this. I think AEW's rating for yesterday will be less than NXT's unopposed rating on Wednesday. NXT did like 850 Wednesday. AEW, I think, is probably going to do around 7, maybe even a little less than. If they do more, I'll be absolutely shocked. Not necessarily because of TakeOver, but because it's a different night. Not everybody is in tune to that. So, and I will say this, if AEW's Saturday night rating is lower than NXT, do not poke fun at AEW. I mean, you do what you want, but me, I'm not going to throw it in their face. NXT won the week. That's people do different things on a Saturday night than a Wednesday night. You know, look at my shows. You see how many people tuned in live today for both of the shows. It's not a normal day where I do afternoon shows. Patreon, yes, but not here. So Saturday night, to judge that to Wednesday night NXT, I think is a little bit unfair. But, yeah, you know, pay-per-view versus a regular show, that too. But, you know, look at it like this, Darren. I watched AEW live. Well, not live, but I watched AEW first in its original airing, and then I watched NXT. I didn't do the opposite. So, you know, some people definitely watched NXT instead of AEW, but I still will say what I've been saying for months now. AEW and NXT somebody needs to change to a different night. Maybe AEW goes to Thursday nights or NXT, but one of them needs to move to another night. It'll help both their products. They will get 1 million viewers each if one of them moves to another night. And I don't care. You got to suck it up. You know, and no executive, you know, goofs on social media will do this, but no executive is going to say, we can't move to Thursday night. Everybody on Twitter will laugh at us. They'll say that we're giving in to NXT, or we're giving in to AEW by moving to Thursday night. You can't use social media. They don't do that. And you know what? That's why they're business executives, and that's why a lot of the outspoken people on social media are unemployed. You could write catchy tweets all you want. Get 100 likes all you want. Get tweet fucked all you want until you got blue balls, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, they're employed and you're not. So I would not put too much credence into the social media stuff. If you enjoy the product, watch it. But I think it's unfair to compare this week as far as ratings. But one of them needs to go to a different night. I think Thursday nights would be ideal. Thursday night wrestling would be ideal. I'm telling you. I don't care if it's AEW. I don't care if it's NXT. Thursday nights would be ideal. And you know what? I'll make a prediction now. I think sometime before the end of 2021, one of those two promotions will move to a different night. Seriously. If I'm a betting man, bet on that. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. No need to split. So anyway, I'm going to go because I know the SummerSlam preview starts in 10 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed this AEW Dynamite recap. hour and 20 minutes. I think that's a little bit manageable. We got to talk about a few other things as well. Post your comments on YouTube. What you liked about Dynamite. Do you agree with some of the things I said? Any ideas you want to throw out there? And please keep spreading the word about the channel. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the episode. And if you're not too busy tonight, 5 minutes after SummerSlam is off the air, catch me right here. Again, I'll either be solo or I'll actually be up with Mish giving you the SummerSlam recap. So, everyone, much love, and I will catch you all again in a few hours. Take care. Ciao.